Matthew,
Evening.
you good?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very
Good.
well. Like to meet Chris.
Hi,
Yeah,
Chris.
mate.
You might have some mutual friends actually. Done a couple of our for seasons, but at different years.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was 2009, 2012 were mine.
Mine were a bit later.
So the 2009 one was 2009. I'm sure that was the year that DC10 was on a
Close.
ban.
Yeah.
Was on a ban, yeah. What was it on a ban for?
Oh,
Though?
right.
It was something to do with, wasn't that to do with tax or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I went there during the season, never got to go there. I think it opened like for the closing party or something. I left by then.
I remember
Oh.
doing that closing party. Ricardo played, and I remember going to that closing party, and it was literally the most I've ever seen DC10 round. It was horrible. It's the only time I ever saw Ricardo playing DC10.
I think I went for I used to go for Circuit then, and it was just I went one year and I just thought there's no point going. So busy.
Oh, it does. It gets absolutely ramped.
You may as well go any other week of the season. You know.
Yeah, do you know the best Circle Loco of the season is always the second one, because everyone goes to the first one and then no one comes to the second one because everyone went last week. So that's always the best one to go to.
Yeah, right.
Oh, definitely. I used to like all the offshoots, mate, because Circle Auto used to do like an after party for like all the sort of music heads down at the Grial in Beatha Town, which was quite good.
That was a really dark bar, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's cool. Like I played there. I played twice for Circle Auto's after party there. It was good because it was like just all close knit, and it was usually just like the guests that would go down there, like their close friends. It was quite like you never really seen any like typical like tourists and that would go down there. Then I think I played so that was, I'm trying to think, which would be that one first. Then I went to play straight after that for Cocoon's after party at was it the plage? Is that the one on the beach? Is that what it's called? And I wasn't even meant to play that, and that was because Richie rang us and he was like, I'm meant to be playing this set here and I'm just too battered to play. and he's like, do you fancy doing us a favour and like filling in for us? Because I only was living around the corner. And so I was like, of course I want to do it, of course I'll do that. I literally couldn't got changed any quicker. And it's like, when I parked my bike up and played, I'm playing there, and it was like, obviously I hadn't really had a huge amount of like gigs like that before. And then I was remember just being there, and like there's like Cassie and like Troxeles like sat in the booth on the record boxes. So it was quite a good one. So
what's your like most high profile gig that you played, Chris? Let's introduce you a little bit. Let's sell you.
So I'm not like I say, I haven't had I'll probably say them. They had just randomly got that. Was that one because Richie didn't have time to come down, so I played that. So I was probably one that. And off the back of that, then because that after party was hosted by Cubicle, so it was like Cocoon and Cubicle, and obviously Cubicle was that London party that used to be in the toilets. Remember, have you heard of that?
Oh right, yeah.
I think I do remember this. Yeah.
So it's in the Cubicle in the toilet. So it was in there, and then obviously the person who was hosting that with Cocoon, I obviously got speaking to her. It was her party, Liz Mendez, who she's still over there in Ibiza. And then I went down and play for her party back in Basin House in East London. So it's built a little network from that. So that was probably I would say for gigs wise, I think I was like a regular guest for Electricity in Birmingham for a long time. And nice. That one there at the time in Birmingham, this is going back to this is 10 years ago, and Damien that ran that, he was putting on serious lineups. So it was just like Lower Dice, Crawler, Luciano, just like it was a headline like that pretty much every time. They did it like maybe it's like 4 or 5 times a year at special times, like typical like Easter weekend and stuff. They picked the big ones.
Yeah, nice.
And that was probably just the biggest platform I've played on, and that only came around that. So like how I even got speaking to how like I'm from the Northeast and like how I'm speaking to someone in Birmingham. This is before I produced the music or anything like that. And I had my own night in Sunderland and a techno night. This is before you could like post it on Facebook. And so this I go actually flyering and then get wallpaper paste with posters and putting them on like shutters and things. That's the promo back in them days. And I had Rebecca on, Rebecca, techno DJ. So I had her on, and she was the resident for that night. So she played for my night, and she went, "Oh, really? Like, it's a pretty cool little thing going on here. Do you fancy coming down to playing for us?"
Nice.
So it started off at a bit like a typical promoter. I'm going to bring people down, because obviously I could bring 50 people down with us, and I could sell tickets. The typical that way that promoters could use. So that's where it started off, but I was bringing people down. I was bringing like loads of people down with us, so they just kept getting us to play. So I played that probably there for about a year. Loads of different ones, like desolate parties, all sorts. Warmed up for Corolla at the after party, so it's like 2 sets before him.
That's pretty cool.
So that's gone. That's like that's the first. That's like what got us from being, I would say, enjoying DJing to I want to try and make it. That was that little platform got us to like really be obsessed with that. Probably if I didn't do that, I think I probably would have sacked it off by now, or a long time ago.
I'll introduce Chris to Stephen and Matt, my little 2 members. Basically, I've known Chris for a very long time, but I don't actually know if I've met you in person, have I?
There must be somewhere. There's bound to be some sort of after party or something where I've bumped into you.
Yeah, maybe. But we've known each other a very long time. Obviously, I did AB for Seasons probably the year 2012, I think I did as well. So we probably met there. But we've been Facebook friends for a very, very long time. Does Anna Wall still own Tough Luck Records, or are you sold?
Well, Tough Luck was, we started that in 2013. That was obviously pressing vinyl, very hard work. So that's obviously eventually it became too much hard work. But Anna got on board at the time, because obviously it was in a circle of friends that were all in. So it was with me, Twan, Johnny Lawrence, goes under Rebel, Anna, and that was the initial people. And obviously Anna's obviously got a really good network.
And she was back then as well, wasn't she?
Oh, sorry?
She was a publicist back then.
Yeah, she did. She who did she, I can't think who she worked for at the time, but yeah, she knows everyone and everyone. She knows them. So she's done that, and then obviously now she's the Fabric resident. So
she is. Yeah, I should bring Anna Wall into this. I think Anna would be great. She'll have some stories.
Oh no, Anna's, like I say, really, really good, because Anna is the product of really hard work with solely DJing. There's not many like artists or what you would call a DJ, which you expect these days to be a DJ and a producer. You expect it to be as a pair. Yeah. And there's not many now that any DJs who are known just for being a physical DJ. But like you got to think Ben UFO is one, but Anna is probably one of my favorite DJs and like selectors.
Yeah, Matt, if you don't listen to Anna Wall's Rinse FM shows, you should.
She's
them up.
That's why she is the Fabric resident for a reason. You gotta think Terry Francis and Craig Richards have been Fabric residents since it opened up. They've parted ways. Who fills the boots of it is the biggest residency probably out of any club in the world.
Yeah,
the most.
Probably.
And she got that.
Yeah,
that shows how good of a DJ she is, really.
So at the moment, Chris is running it. This is why I brought him in, because I think what me and Chris are actually doing can work side by side, which is why it made sense to do it for the first one. So Chris runs a DJ cabinet, but focuses more on the reality of what you actually face as an artist, whereas I'm more of the social strategy and how you're going to put together the campaigns that Chris is going to prepare you for. He also runs a record label, so he's had a little bit of a DJ career. So kind of brings in all the mistakes that he would have made when he was 20, 25 kind of thing. He now can learn from that experience and pass that on to hopefully the Social Sound members, and this hopefully is going to be a more regular thing that we can do. So as I don't think we're going to get any more members, Chris, I'm going to hold it over to you and you can share your screen. Let's just see if you can actually do it.
Right, let's have a look. So
I have made it so participants can share screen, so you should just be able to go straight away with it.
Right, and I'll turn it into a proper presentation. Right, here we go. So
I learned my lesson from last week, Matt, the one that we did on Monday. I didn't change my viewing settings on Zoom, so everything that we were doing and I was presenting just had our faces in the middle of it. So it was unusable. But I've learned my lessons now. So the way I got my screen now has completely changed. So we're going to be able to use this one and we'll be able to watch it back. So yeah,
Right.
it's all yours. Oh, one thing I will say, if you just click the one slide, Chris, everybody who watches this live or in the future, Ben passed away yesterday, unfortunately, from a really, really bad case of cancer. And I think he had COVID as well. And I think everybody who should go and read his story, you can find it on my Facebook. And he's got an amazing story. He raised 250 grand for his treatments and unfortunately passed away yesterday. So this session goes out to Ben. Big up, Ben. Over to you, Chris.
right, me. So talk a little bit about me. So I'm from the Northeast. Like I said, started DJing, going back to, I think I touched decks for the first time in about 2007, 2008. Just because my mate had a pair of turntables in his house, and I thought it was just to go on for a few cans, and I think, oh, I'll have a go at that. It was solid, absolutely solid. So then eventually CD decks came out, and obviously I had the Pioneer 800s, and I think I got them on finance or something at the time. And it's just one of those things that I just loved when my mates came over, we all had a mess around on it. And then after that, so how it developed from the bedroom to actually playing. A club in Sunderland called Independent. It's like Sunderland's a very small city. We've got a huge scene up here. But Guy had the club, and he said, "Do you want to do something on a Friday?" And I went, "Yeah, of course I do." So that's when I started doing my own little parties, and that's what led on to, I was saying before, when I had Rebecca on, and then I ended up getting the gigs in Birmingham, and it all sort of goes from there. So moving through me bit of sort of career itself, I would say that, like I say, I obviously got playing my own nights, and then I started playing Birmingham, which was the biggest platform I've probably playing on lineups, which now would cost like 40, 50 grand or something. Obviously there 10 years ago, there were like, DJs didn't get paid as much. So, but yeah, just being amongst these names, just going up on my first time playing with them. Bearing in mind, I only been playing like in a club for a year or something, and like the ultimate anxiety, I think I was shaking, like touching the decks. But yeah, I got to play with like Salota Dice, Luciano, Corolla, and all sorts in Birmingham, and that gave us a bit more of a name. That, because when I used to share flyers and things like that, then came back into Newcastle again. And then we two really close mates, Adam and Adrian Fairless, were doing a Friday slot at Cosmic Ballroom called Sample. And they got us on as residents, and I became part of that. And then we did some big parties with Patrick Topman and his brand at the time, Motion, would join forces and put like big lineups on a digital. We've had the likes of, like, at the time, like Taylor of Us and Art Department and Leon and Gooty and all sorts up there. So that was me first like proper ownership of a residency and a party, and having to do the whole being a promoter and understanding, like, putting a party on, you're putting one on, then you're instantly promoting the next one straight after. And it was that was really hard work, and something I'm doing within my sort of academy is helping people like build their own platform, so become that promoter and understand how to be a promoter and how to run a club event properly, the hurdles you go through, like I say, the things that you end up thinking that you want to quit, for all of that. So that's what I teach a lot about, that, and how they can set up their own sort of little night. So then that led me into doing my own label. So that was something that me, Johnny, and Twan at the time, we knew I had a good network. Johnny's an amazing producer. At the time, I was probably not the best, going back to 2013. But Johnny had a lot of unreleased music, and they were really, really good. So I thought, we'll build ourselves a label, and then we know we've got a stack of music that we can release. we can put them out, and we know that they're going to get some ears on them. So we set the label up, and then we sort of tapered off from that probably around about a couple of years ago, just because things were getting tough for that. And then I made a big decision for myself. I really had to look at, do I go for the career as what I wanted to be was like a touring DJ? Do I go for that, or do I try and look into the future more? And I always was sort of in my head, I was always battling with myself and comparing things, because time flies by so quick. I mean, from playing, I always wish at the time, going back to like when I first started playing, I wish I was that producer like then, because if I'd done it then, it would have been easy to make it, because the industry is unfortunately very saturated due to technology, and a lot of people have got good tools to learn from, like what I do, the academies, YouTube's amazing, people like Andrew with his social media stuff. There's a lot of focus around the education of it. So, but going back to 2009, 8, it was hard to learn. You know what I mean? You had to. You didn't really necessarily have mates who were also producers, so it was really, really tough. And I was in that stage thinking, do I really want to try and pursue it? Am I too old for it? I'm 34. Now, am I past my sell-by date now? Am I like, I'm not going to as many parties anymore. I'm not like going to an after party and networking as much, that physical networking as much. Now I made a big decision to like stop the career path of a touring DJ, but then focus on helping people get to that. And I found that I've really enjoyed that side of the industry more, the education. I really get like sort of a bit of a buzz off it, really helping people and watching people thrive and develop their own skills. So, and that's how I've got to what I'm doing now. Started off as a little bit of a hobby, then I realised people like to learn off us, so it ended up becoming, like I say, a bit of a business. So that's what we are. So the academy itself is the North East's first private educational hub for aspiring DJs and producers. So Manchester, London, they've all got these. They've like, I mean, in the North East really sort of, it was a big step behind. There wasn't much you could do privately. You would have to sign up to a college course and sack your job off, or you would go to university and do like music technology or music production technology, I think it's called, and go through 3 years of that to get a bit of paper that says that you've completed something. So what we do is it's whether you're learning, obviously DJ, or it's making music, what we do is tailor everything to your goals and capabilities. We're not giving you something that is pre-written and then you learn from that like a college course would do. So everything's structured around the person coming in. So what we have facilities of what we have at the academy. So I work in partnership with Blackbox Studios in Newcastle, which is where I lease that sort of facilities for my students. So for the DJing side of things, we've got, like I said, that's the setup basically. So it's club standard setup. So if you are somebody who's learning to DJ and you eventually get that club gig, there's a good chance you're playing on that stuff. So we're giving you the taster of the real stuff before you even get your first gig. So as you can probably see from the top picture, I've got a club sound system in. And why I thought that was a really good idea is because me personally being a DJ, I was, in my opinion, the best in my head. I am the best DJ. As soon as I stepped in that club and played on a proper system with lights, strobe lights blinding us, I was not good at all. It was the whole, you were like, everything just, you were disorientated basically with how loud the club was, people pushing past you, like say lights in your eyes, and it really pegged you down a level. You thought you were class and then you're not really at all. So what we've done with the club sound system is basically giving the students a real taster of what it's like to be in that club environment. And we can have that really, really loud, and that will give them the idea of like, well, understand, because your headphones and like listening to your headphones to beat match with a system like that blaring is really, really tough. So that's why we've got the club system in, not just the little monitors. The music production side of things, that's my ultimate passion, is something the teaching Ableton. And obviously for the academy itself, we were doing one-to-one. I'm a big believer in one-to-one tuition. I find that you learn more. And if you're a bit of an introvert or you're shy, if you're in a group environment, you tend that you want to ask a question, but you don't dare do it. And you become reserved, and plus as well is you're not necessarily learning the music that you want to learn. If you learn as a group, there might be somebody who likes drum and bass, somebody who likes trance, and so the one-to-one is something I've found that people are most comfortable in, and they can feel themselves more. And when I first started to produce, I did go to a one-to-one sort of tuition up in Concert at the time. Was like the only person who was like doing any form of education, but it was still just him. He was just, like I say, a good producer, and he was just like trying to make a bit of money off helping people, just to fund new hardware in his studio. So I learned from him and built up enough confidence to explore it myself. And then that's probably going back 10 years ago. And then I'm still working with the same person, but not necessarily for learning. But he is now, big shout out to Nick Adams, which I'm sure he'll get a chance to say this. And he's the person who really got us, with the music production side of things, got us going. And he's a really, really good tutor. And he's now the main man at Newcastle College for the music technology. And he invites me up sporadically throughout the year to talk to the students about the steps that you've got to make it, and I do little workshops, and so he's bringing me back into it. So he taught me, and I'm helping him with his teaching a bit. So that's it's been really exciting, that. So why should you choose my academy to go to? So you get industry standard facilities. So so that's obviously from the DJ tuition I've showed you, the setup we've got there, to write it down to the music production. It's all industry standard. Non-curriculum, I'm such like a huge fan of things that are created for the person and not pre-made. Because as a creative, that bit of paper that says you've got a degree in music means absolutely nothing in a creative industry. And it's about it's the actual work, the art that you've made. That's your certificate, basically, not the bit of paper. And that's what we do. Is, like I say, it's completely 100% tailored to the person that comes in. And not only do we help you with the production, we help you build your brand as well. So that is, like I say, understanding how to get your art to the right ears, and how to make people find you, and like I say, become more visible. And that's where obviously Andrew's really good at the building your brand side, and he's helping me a lot with that. The community as well. So we are the people who are in the academy. It's a community of like-minded creatives. We all help each other. You can be the newbie, and then your best mates with everyone else. That's part of the community, and everyone helps each other. Everyone inspires each other, motivates each other, and we've had some really good successes off the whole thing as well, just from the network that's built in the community, because it's people spread all over the country. And then we've got people coming in from different parts of the world, which are new people I'm bringing into the community as well. And the other thing as well is the forward-thinking platform, which is I'm going to talk onto it in a little bit. So a little bit of a story about like a student of mine. So I'll let you have a little read of it. So this is a Google review from a student I had in yesterday, who came in, and I'm always interested, is like, as the business owner, it's like, how have you found me? And I like to know how they found me, so I can then, like I say, improve the way people can find me. So this person, Kieran, the way he explained it was, he's an Aldi checkout worker. He's just a young lad. He's like really, really passionate, and he wanted to learn. And one of my other students, Chris Sowerby, which I'm sure you'll be watching this at some point, he was just buying something from the checkout, and Kieran, the checkout guy, obviously recognised this Chris from his music, and Kieran, he was like, I just really, really want to learn, but I just don't know how do I learn, and what do I need to do? So Chris recommended him to me. So that bit of organic customer base is starting to build now, and that is because people are really wanting to find out. And that, I thought that was a cool little story, that one of my other students has been recognised for his music from someone else, and that person's wanted to find out how he learned. So it all came back around. So that's his review that he left us on my Google page yesterday. Or was it today? So right. So what is the future of education for DJs? So this is something I've had to have a massive think about, and COVID has really drilled it into my mind. Pretty old school when it comes to tuition, face-to-face, one-to-one. You sit next to me to learn, and because that's the way I learned, and I found it worked for me, and I assume that, well, everyone else that's came in, it's worked for them. But COVID has made things really, really hard for people to like come together, especially with the household thing, and businesses shutting down, you can't mix. So it has been really, really tough, and it's made us think about the platform that I have. So what my sort of, which is in the pipe works, it is nearly finished, which I'm kind of waiting to share with you, and I'm sure I'll probably come back in with Andrew to do a big presentation on the platform when it's created. But what my views on the future is that that everyone likes the community. Now, I've noticed that from my little community, which was just happened to be, I added when I was teaching into my Facebook group message, then I had another person come in and was built a community, and I realized people really like it. And so what I want to do within the website I'm getting built at the minute is have a login, a members login. I'm going to be starting to do a subscription. I'm still going to do me one-to-ones, but that is something that's going to be a separate problem. The big focus is going to be the subscription, where you can join the hub, and in the hub you're going to have categorized tutorials, which I've made, which I know I've got a YouTube channel myself, which if you just want to check it out, my videos, I can hit you up with the link after. But I'm going to start putting some exclusive stuff into the hub, and I'm working on doing a full Ableton for Dummies sort of tutorial series. And I look at, because I've been testing this a little bit with my students that come in, and I do get, like Kieran that came in complete novice, and I do get a lot of blank canvases that come in, and I really do like working with the blank canvases because I can teach them the best practices from the get-go rather than correcting some bad habits. So I've been showing to some of the students that I've got some YouTube videos that I already created, labeled on YouTube as your first ever time on Ableton. So I'm assuming that title is going to be, that's literally, couldn't be any more beginners. I'll look at it and I'll go, that's definitely beginners. But I don't understand that I've got a heightened knowledge in it. I show it to one of my students who's a complete blank canvas and doesn't have a clue about anything. Is this too hard for you? And they go, yeah, too hard. That's made me think about the way I look at it, because in my mind, I look at that and I think that's easy. That's very dumbed down, but I forget that I'm more heightened knowledge than the average person. So the series I'm doing is I'm going to forgetting about the jargon. We're working in analogies and being very memorable with the way we talk about it. And I'm creating a series, and it's going to be a huge series of walking people through their first ever real time on the system itself and what you're going to be doing. So that's going to be there as something that you can just log in. They're going to be all categorized. It's going to be beginning stuff, intermediate stuff, loads of going right up to advanced. So everyone's going to have access to all the videos. Also within it, we're going to be bringing into something a bit like this, what I'm doing with yous now, where I'll be inviting on, like I say, people like Andrew, which can talk about the other side of the education, which is not necessarily about music production, but like the brand side, like building your social media platforms. but also getting people on that are press managers, like booking agents, getting people on who tour managers. We're getting people from all aspects of the industry. I'm not about getting who's the coolest DJ on to show them their best tip for music production. There will be the odd DJ, but I'm really focusing around the whole industry itself, not just one specific like direction of just music production. It's going to be everyone that's going to be on it. So so getting some big names from all avenues of the industry onto that. Also, what we'll be doing as well in the hub itself, the community, we're going to be doing loads of raffles, you know what I mean, loads of competitions where I'm going to select certain, like I'll start a project off and I want people to finish it off. And we're going to raffle the winners, and they can win bits of hardware, they can win one-to-one sessions, they can win press shots, they can win bio, they get a full press pack made for them, they can obviously, anything, you name it, we're going to try and get everything into competitions for there. So that is a little bit of an insight of the direction that I'm taking the academy. I really want it to be something that's not just restrictive for people who live close or who's a drive away. I want it to be accessible for anyone around the world, and I really want everyone to. The networking side is I'm huge on, because I know everyone is passionate and everyone will help each other, and everyone who is like-minded and has the same passion can really better everyone else's career. And it's been evident within the little community that we've got already, just on the little Facebook chat that we've got going at the minute. So that's what we're doing. So I'm excited, definitely, if Andrew will have us back on again to do a proper screen share tour.
Come back, mate.
Of that one. So, right. So next bit. So how do you make a career from DJing, and what is the reality of making it? So massive question I get asked from the people who come in and sit down with me. I'll ask them, what's your career goal from wanting to make music? I want to be Patrick Toppin. Reason why I want to say Patrick Toppin, because most of me students are from the Northeast, and he's the god from up here. So he's obviously done amazing in his career, but a lot of people think he's just got that like that, and he never did. He's grafted and grafted and grafted and grafted. So what we do also do in the academy is we really help people understand the actual career itself as a DJ, and what steps do you have to do to get to that point, and what is the reality. You can't just make a track and then next thing you know, boom, you're famous. It doesn't necessarily work like that. And so I'll talk a little bit, I'll elaborate a little bit on this, because I said the reality of making it is really, I'm going to be really honest with this, it is tough. We're in a really saturated industry, which is because technology is available and education is widely available as well. So there's a lot of budding DJs out there and a lot of, like I say, producers out there. But also as well is, and this is my views on this, is that DJing has got a lot easier. And from going back from that previous bit I mentioned before about when I first had my first go on decks on vinyl, thought it was absolutely solid, and it still is. But now, and then even just to the decks after that, they were still making you use your ear. But now, because of the new Pioneers with the 65-inch screens attached to them, you're using your eyes more, not as much your ears. So what you're finding is that people, you'll mix the two tracks together on a pair of decks, and you're like automatically think, oh, well, I can do that. I'm going to be a DJ, and that's where we are in the generation we are now. It has got a lot easier to actually be a DJ itself. I know there's the art to it and understanding your crowd and the whole music choices of hip hop, but from a person putting two tracks together, doing it for the first time, getting it right and going, that's it, I know my career path now. But the reality of it is so many steps to it, and you can be the most amazing DJ, but in where we are now, you can't necessarily just get a career just from the DJ itself. And obviously I know Anna does make music and things, but she got massively to where she was because she is one of the best DJs out, and she's got that fabric residency because she is top shelf of the best. But now, because you have to have that production side, you have to have that balance of being a good DJ, but to get your gigs, especially now, you gotta because with the nights that are on, is going back to when I did my night, there was a lot of small nights because the monopolies, as you would say, like your warehouse projects and things like that, they were there still, but actual big artists that pull people through your front doors to your club weren't expensive then. And now that, especially the UK is really bad for this, is that DJ booking fees are very expensive. And it's made it very hard now for the smaller parties, the smaller nights, to put parties on anymore because they can't afford them. A few lads scraping their wages together to try and book a DJ, they're not even going to be able to book them. They honestly wouldn't. Like, you're looking at anything from like 5 to 10 grand now for an artist that would have cost you like a couple of like grand or something like a handful of years ago. And I know they move up within their career progression and they are become worth more, but the jump up now is so big. And the bigger nights, like your warehouse projects, your shindigs and stuff, they're dominating that market. So being that person who gets to play in the club, it's a bit tougher now. So this is where your music production gets you, whether you get on a label or you self-release. And this is where you're building your brand as well. You are getting your name out there. And then becomes a case you've got a couple of tracks that are doing really well, and then promoters are thinking, well, actually, that this people are liking him. He's like, or him or her, and I think if a book he or she, then they're going to pull people through the door. So that's the sort of the cycle of it. So as a career, if you're thinking about money, if you're thinking about your whole like trying to make a physical career where you don't actually have to have another job anywhere else, then you make your money off your gigs, and then obviously your gig price goes up based upon your stature of your releases and how well known you get. And this is really where I'm going to really want to work with my community, work with my hub, is to the brand stuff. And this is where, like, with regards with what Andrew does, is absolute gold dust for anyone who's is a really good producer, or not be a really good producer, who knows they're making good stuff, but they're a bit of an introvert, or they just don't know how to just be themselves. They don't know how to take a photo of themselves or anything like that. And it's getting that brand out there, and like I say, understanding, like building the social media platforms, because that is now what is going to make it for you as a career, is getting your name big enough that promoters see you as a commodity and see you as something that they can make money off, and that's getting people through the doors. So that is a bit about the reality of making it. Is really, really tough, but it's not about your skills of being a producer. It's not about your skills of being a DJ, but it's also but everything else that goes with it as well. And that's obviously with what Andrew's doing with his platform is, like I say, it's gold. So being a good DJ and producer is just the first hurdle. So, and it's you need to be good at both of those, but you need to be good at editing video. You need to be good at taking photos of yourself. You need to be good at creative writing for your captions. You need to be good at, like you say, you need to be good at being, like you say, and I guess I want to say the opposite, not an extrovert, but you need to be confident in yourself at becoming like on social media. And I think a lot of people, especially I'm 34, so like if you look at my like some of like my older friends group, they're like, oh, it's cringe that taking a selfie, like, and things like that. But it is all part and parcel of your brand, and like I say, getting your career out there. You need to understand that you've like just being the DJ and the producer is not enough. It's really not enough now. You need to be a master of everything, and social media is literally is what is in my opinion is just as important as how good your music is, getting your brand out there. So right, creating a first impression with a record labels. So this is where, as a record label owner myself, I know just from having stacks and stacks of demos coming through that what do I ignore? And I know I should be looking at all of them, but when you're getting that many through, it's that first impression that it's going to make me click into it. And this is where anyone who's on this, who's going to be watching this, or as part of the watching the webinar, is that I can really help you with how to approach a record label. And there's not many people that they can really kill it off first time. You could have a bit of gold in your hands, but without understanding what you need to do to approach the label, then you could be that could just be going in the bin with them. So I'm going to get you to have a little look at this email that I got sent in. So
should we ask Matt?
Right. So what I want you to do, Matt, is what you think is either right or wrong about that email. What think's good or what's bad about it? If I'm the label boss and I've just got this through now and I'm just about to have a glance, but bear in mind it's the 90th one I've looked at in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, right. So instead of sending it to a few DJs and they're playing it out, maybe you should name them.
Anything else?
A download link. People normally like streaming links, don't they?
You're on the right lines there. What's the actual quality of the music?
Sorry?
The MP3. That's the bit. You wouldn't send. You've just spent 5 hours making a track and you send it to someone as an MP3.
Right. Okay.
Give them the worst quality version of your thing that you've stayed up all night for the last week.
Do you want to flick onto the next slide?
Yeah.
So we can.
So that's what I think. So I'm just going to explain this. So what I've circled there is the stuff that I don't think I'm looking at and going, what? I don't even know how old you are. You know what I mean? I don't want to know that your shelf life's about to go. I don't want to know that you're not going out at after parties, sessioning with loads of people and networking and doing beta seasons I'm looking at going, he's just sitting in his front room all day. And then as well, I've been making music for 6 months. You've told me straight away that your music's poor. I'm being really cold here, but you've only been making music for 6 months. I'm assuming that it's not good. You've only been making it for 6 months. It's not good enough. I'm just going to assume that that's bad. I'm not going to skip it. I would love you to sign this bit forward, I think. You know what I mean? I would love you to sign this. So I've sent it to a few. I know you picked this one out. You've said you would name a few. As a label owner, I look at that and go, well, where's my exclusivity? You know what I mean? I'm putting my heart and soul into this release. I've spent $1.5 grand on the release, on a vinyl pressing, mastering, PR campaigns, and people have got it for free. And I'm like, it's probably been dished around. And then when it gets released, people are not even bothered because they've already got it. And so as a label owner, it's all about, I want when people come through is that they literally worship me, and they have made this specifically for me themselves. So I don't want to know that I want to know that I'm the only person who's ever heard it, not even your mates. So that bit there, which you picked out, I've attached the download link for the MP3. Right, which Matt, you got this bang on the head with the thing. People like to stream it. You're perfectly right there. If I'm going through 100 of these, I'm not going to be downloading it. You know what I mean? I might not even be on good Wi-Fi. I might be sat in a cafe or something like that, and it's worst. Or I might be straight tethering from my phone. I don't want to wait to listen to it. I want to flick through and just go straight to, yeah, that's good. Then I'll probably put it in a different folder for later on, filter it down. and then straight away MP3. You are giving me the worst quality file possible. And what happens if I've got a gig tonight as a label owner? I'm a label owner, but also I'm a DJ. I've got a gig tonight. If I really like that, I'm not going to play it out. I want to play the best quality one out. So that gives you a bit of an idea of like what I'm expecting from somebody sending something in. So this is what I would I wrote this basically. So what I would think is something really good. So I read out. So hi Chris, thank you for taking time to reply to my message on Instagram. So I've already got this personal relationship. Like I said, the other one, how did he get my email? I don't know who's given that for a start. And most labels now, they don't necessarily put the demo address up anymore now because they get swamped. They want people to graft for that email, or they want to be referred. And that's basically like how it's working in the industry at the minute. So as I am the producer and I've sent this in. So let's have a look how we got to this, taking time to reply to my message. And this is what's something I talked to Andrew a little bit about this, and I've got a little bit of like a little bit of a strategy for like planting your name in a DJ's or a label owner's head, and then subconsciously like just embedding your name. And they don't, when they look, send them a message, they're racking their head of going, where have I seen that name before? And that's really important. And because some artists and stuff, they have a lot of followers, likes, and I think that some of them probably might even turn the notifications off the phone and things because they get so many these days. So what I've done to even get this reply is I've made this track, and it probably is, I haven't sent, I know who I want to send it to, Tough Luck Records, but I haven't decided I want to send it now because I don't know Chris, the label owner, and I know that like he doesn't really know me, and I'm just one of the many people that's probably going to pester him. So what I'm doing is I'm using his social networks, his Instagrams, his SoundClouds and things like that. He's listening to his mixes on SoundCloud. What I'm doing is I'm tagging him in a post. I'm sharing his newest mix that he's done for Vince FM or whatever, and say, oh, this amazing mix by so and so, tagging them in. And sometimes, like on Instagram, they might do a repost or like share the story type of thing. So I've seen the name once. Then you write in the future and you comment on the photos. I know there's nothing like, you don't want to put like just flame emojis or anything like that. You just don't want to look like a bot. But you know what I mean? You can put something along the lines of like, oh, I've just got this this release on pre-order. Can't wait for the postman to send it in. Oh, I can't wait to play this out at my gig next week or something like that. And then doing this over the course of like a couple of weeks before messaging them, you're going to send them a message and they sort of like know your name because they think, oh, it's that kid who's like been tagging us in stuff. He's been writing some nice stuff. So I'm really, as the label owner, the big DJ, I'm a little bit open to speak to this person because he seems really, really genuine. He seems really invested in my brand and about me. So I've just dropped him a message. I've been making some music, which I would really love you to hear. Do you reckon I could send some over? So that's how I've got the email address. So then I've sent the message over. So I'm a huge fan of Tough Luck Records. The last EP, so the Jack Wickham EP, has been a favourite record of mine to play out. So I'm already there, showing that I know a lot about the label, and I know. So as the label owner, I know that he doesn't just press send all to like loads of labels. You know what I mean? I know this has been designed for me, and also as well as it's been my favourite record to play out. I'm already telling the label owner that I'm getting a few gigs. So I'm thinking, well, if it's getting a few gigs, I might actually have a little research of this person and see what he's doing, because I can see him as a bit of a, if I get him on, he's getting loads of gigs, he'll play the music out, and if he's got a good network, it's going to benefit me as the label owner, get more sales or more like brand reach. So that's a good little thing. I've had my head down in the studio the last few months, making the EP, especially for Tough Luck. I am dedicating this, so I'm dedicating this bit of work to that label. I've made it especially for you in this label. So, and what I've done there is I would love you to hear your feedback. I'm not asking to get you to sign it. I'm just wanting you to hear it. I'm just in the background. I'm probably hoping that they probably want to sign it, but I'm not being pushy about it. I'm just wanting you to hear some music that I've made for you. So next bit, I've attached a private SoundCloud link for the 3 tracks. So you notice here, the last one was a demo track. This is 3 tracks. This is really important because if I'm sending music to a label, if I send 1 track, what's if one was like they want if they want more, like and then I'm going to be like, I don't have any, like, and then I'm going to be back to like, can't send anything else to them for a while, and they're probably thinking, a bit of a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? You want, before you send the music off to labels, you want to build a catalog or what we call it, an EP for them, because as a producer, your goal is to get your own release. You don't, the second sort of like what you'd have second best, you would say, would be like a track on a VA, so various, like I said, like a compilation, various artists sort of thing. So you've just got 1 track on, but you really want the EP. You want it to be your name on the front, and obviously some artwork that you've obviously had a bit of say in. It's yours. So I've sent 3 tracks off to that label. So I'm hoping in the background they want all 3. Then I put down there, they've all been professionally mastered, because like majority of label owners these days are not just businessmen, they're just DJs who've got a really big passion for putting music out, or they want to like, they've opened their own label up to put their own music out, and then they've started to bring other artists on. So I professionally mastered them. So I'm giving them the highest quality of that, because like I mentioned before, as a label owner, I might have a gig tonight, and if I like that, I might play it out. So that's important. These SoundCloud links are downloadable if you want. So I'm hoping that they're going to download them and, like I say, play them out, and the WAVs as well. So it's not a compressed MP3 format. It's a lossless file. And just at the end, I look forward to hearing back from you. So that is a good structure of like an email. Cold emails are not really good anymore. You need to have a tiny bit of interaction with the actual label owner. And if you really want to go, like say, like above and beyond with this, is obviously I know things are tough at the minute because of COVID and there's no clubs open, but I walk around, and if I'm going to a night, I've got 5 USBs in my pocket. And I wish I had some out now. I might have a little dig for them, so I've got them. So basically what I did, I bought these little like thumb USBs. They're like the little tiny little ones like that. They're just like the ones where like they just go in the port and you've got to like nip them out. They've got a little sort of hole in it. I went to B&Q and I bought some bathroom chain, like, you know, you attach your plug to in your bath. So I got that, threaded it through the loop, and then I made a little necklace. So I'm thinking is like, if I give this little USB to that DJ, he's probably going to put it on the side and somebody's either going to nick it or it's going to get lost. It's going to go in his pocket. He's going to pull his fags out, his phone out, it's going to fly off. So I had to think, it's like, how is that going to stay on that body? And there you go, bump around your neck. I give Ben Clock two in 1 month because he played for John. And then I seen him at Fabric as well. I didn't give direct to him. I got his tour manager went, can you please put that around his neck right now? And he did as well. So that's a really good way. That's like, couldn't go anymore. Even old school, that would be like giving CDs out. But it just shows that you really need to like think above and beyond with these sort of things and go outside the box. And if it means going old school and reaching over the booth and putting something around someone's head, like I think as that person behind there, God, he really wants me to hear that music. I did it give it a few people before. I did it with my label. when I press, obviously when you get the vinyl, the distribution sends you a big a pack through, and what we did for the, because Johnny, our label boss, well, one of the label bosses, I want to give a little shout out to Johnny. So Johnny Lawrence, he is an amazing artist. He's built an amazing Instagram organically from just drawings, and he's got a lot of followers. So Andrew, check his thing out. Johnny Lawrence Art. He's did cover work for Scuba. He's really, really good fine artist. So what he did, he's got this. He draws these like a bit like a caricature type of things, and it was really sort of unique to him. And what we did was, we made specifically different ones for different artists. We had a little hit list of like DJs that we really wanted to send the vinyl to, but we customized the art for the actual DJ itself. And Johnny hand drew the whole sleeves. I wish I had one. I have to get. I don't know where it is, but I've got pictures of it, which I'll send you. And he hand drew, and each one was unique. And every DJ, there was only about 10 or something. There wasn't that many. They got something that was, the artwork was completely unique to their promo that they got. We posted them to them. We sent it to Shelton, Saban. Who else did we send it to?
Just going to step in there a minute, right, and just go. So Stephen and Matt, I've spoke to you all about marketing funnels and how you get people's attention, right? So like Chris has just gave you two perfect, really, really sick examples of how he got attention of Ben Clark by one, putting 5 memory sticks around his neck, and then 2, sending them personalized artwork, and 3, commenting other people's pages and getting them to so that they know the name Andrew at Socially Sound or Chris at Chris Q, or see how they've got their attention. And Chris has actually taken Ben Clark through his own marketing funnel without even realizing it. And I think that's something that, like, take the value out of that. And that's exactly why I brought someone like Chris on this, because that's gold. So if you can take that little nugget like that, and say if you find a visual artist who's going to create you content so that when you go in and ask a certain DJ, will you come and play at my club night, or will you sign my records? Imagine attaching a personalized piece of art into the email that Chris has got here as well. And I think that's really valuable, because it's actually creating your own marketing funnel and getting people's attention in a completely different way.
I'm sorry if I'm looking across the other side. You're probably thinking, what am I doing? I'm fine. I'm trying to. I've got 2 screens, so I'm trying to find. I've got it somewhere, because here we go. I've got it. So this is. I want to save this. I want to bring it into a.
Are you going to make a presentation on the fly in front of us? Yeah.
I'm gonna create another slide. So I'm gonna exit this. Because I really wanted to, just because obviously for Matt, you can really look at this. So I'm just gonna quickly just duplicate that.
Matt, you're good for time, yeah? If you stay on for another 15 minutes, you haven't got anything else exciting to do on your Sunday evening. You're still on mute, but I can lip read.
Right, so this is what we did.
Stephen, no gigs.
So can you see that there? Yeah.
Yeah. So
right. So that's Johnny drew them, because obviously he's wait for it to kick back in again. There we go. So that is, so it's the sleeve. So he permanent marketed the sleeve, and that was his, because he makes loads of these cool, I don't know what they are, but whatever they are, they're cool. And obviously everyone's different. And then that was the promo for the specific DJs that we thought, well, it's up their street. There's a good chance to pay, but I really want to make it like their own. And what they were saying about funnels is, when they got through, so I think Bloody Mary got one, Adam Shelton got one, I think Saban got one. I think we even sent one abroad as well. But what that made them do, they were buzzing off that. The first thing they did was picture, thanks to Tough Luck Records for this cool ass piece of wax. They got so many likes. So Johnny spent what, 10 minutes or something like that, showing that. Gold dust for marketing, you know what I mean? God knows how these bigger DJs got so many likes and, you know, shares, and, you know what I mean? People are like, well, that's cool. Is that where can I buy this? Well, no, you can't buy it anywhere because it's made for that person. The actual one that was in the shops was just a black. They're called disco bags. That's what they're called. It's just a black sleeve. And yeah, so that gives you a bit of an idea what we did. That was the first ever release because we knew that we are nothing. We need to be something, and we only going to be able to do that because social media is going to be our power, and we need bigger DJs to like just to like push our name a bit, and that was our sort of trick into it. So this is a bit of one as well. So 3 important questions to ask a label before signing music. So that email before, you've got to me, and I've said, yeah, I like it. Well, I'll have it. So the first thing our DJ will do or producer will do is go, I'll sign a dotted line, send us the contract over now, I'll do it. But you need to be thinking about, like, you need to ask the labels specific questions. Number 1, release schedule. So I can relate massively to this one. So if you didn't ask the label, when's it going to come out, you could be waiting forever. And this is music, you as a producer and as a producer who's developing the skills all the time, you critique your own music. And I learned the hard way. 2012 was my first release. I got released on Kaluki. So obviously Kaluki's quite a big brand now. At the time they were just the Party and Sankeys, and Lee and Nick running that. And that, assigned to that, I was buzzing, you know what I mean? It's like quite a big brand. Took 14 months to come out. So 14 months later, as a new producer, I hated it, absolutely despised it. That, even though, like, I know people who bought it and thought it was good, but I was so critical on my work because I was progressing and developing every single track. I rushed it. I wish that I didn't do it, because I now wish I could go back and delete some old tracks now because I rushed it, because I was jumping into contracts too easy and not thinking about when it's going to come out. So that's a big one. So are you going to enjoy your music when it actually comes out? Big question. Are they investing in PR? So if you don't know anything about the label industry, then you're probably never going to ask this question. So the PR is so important as a label, but also as the producer as well. And if there's so many labels out there that are so half-hearted and like it's just cool to have a label because it's easy to set up, but they don't put any money into it. And what comes with money is, like, you've got different avenues, you've got different experts that can do things for you. And what we mean by PR would mean is that it's like, how am I going to get this music that I've released to the right ears? And the PR campaigns that the label should be running would be a press mail out, which would go to the blogs, the radio shows, the magazines, if it's DJ Mag and Mix Mag, and they would go to, like I say, just like that's them, obviously, yeah, blogs, magazines. Like people are going to interviews, RA, things like that, and but then the other side of the PR would be the DJs. It's the DJ mail out, and that's how the bigger DJs get their music, because not many of them go shopping and buying it on Beatport and things like that. They get given it. And how, as a media group, as a PR company, selling their services to a label, is they would come to, so they were going to come to me as a label owner and say, I'm going to sell my product. I want to know, like, how are you getting that music to that avenue? And the PR companies would be, how they work, well, the good ones, they would work by, well, I'm going to give a shout out to Mainline, because Mainline did all of my PR. They are a Northeast group, a couple of lads, and they are so good at what they do. They knew when Loco Dice was having his sugar puffs. They just knew. They had such a good strategy. They were so big on the trends. They literally knew which DJs are most likely to be sat at the computer at different times in the day. Like I said, when they can, because it's all about attention. I mean, getting the attention of that DJ and in this PR company, which, like I say, I can't recommend them enough. they just made sure that they were sending my release out to artists that would play it, but are sitting down comfortably enough to listen to it. And they knew all of that. They just wouldn't just press send at all. It's physically tailored to everyone. So as a producer, asking the label, do you invest in PR? That's really important, because I want to know, how's my music going to get to local dice or Corolla's ears, and are they investing? And it's not cheap. And if you are like you say, really invested in your record label, and you're putting your heart and soul into it, you're going to be putting money up front as well, and that's not a cheap avenue to go down. So that's a big question I'll be asking a record label, is like, how are you, like you say, promoting the music? Next question is, are they funding a remix? So quite a big one, because as he's looked at that email before, I sent Chris 3 tracks. So I'm hoping Chris, the label owner, would sign the EP. But what they're going to do, so my question as the person's, like say, getting my music getting signed, is like, are you going to, like say, put a remix on? And that could be a big difference between your music getting heard and found and being very visible, because I'm not a big producer. I've made some good tracks that the label likes, but I've not really got a really big name. But if the label get on a remixer that's got a big name, that they are going to promote this whole EP because they're involved in it. And my name is attached to that name. So whenever somebody's shopping for music and they go on, I'm going to search for this artist's music, my music pops up with it at the same time, because it's attached. And you're getting such a valuable reach from a bigger person being involved. So this one of the remixes is you're going to find out, are they going to invest in the remix? And as a label owner, it's something that can be really expensive, and I might only have a budget. So I might say to the person signing, well, we've only got like £100 to spend on a remix. You know what I mean? We're going to have a look around. What I would do if I was the person who was getting the music signed, I would say, I'll chip in, I'll pay, I'll put money into this, because if I could top his £100 up to £300, that could be the big difference between getting this artist to do your remix or this artist to do your remix. And that £200 is going to be something that's going to be, like I say, going to push your music for. So I'll be asking to even fund a little bit into the release, because, you know what I mean, you're using their platform, but you're giving a little bit of a boost with a bit of extra money. So that's a good little tip as well for negotiation, is you want to involve yourself as much as you can. You want to push to get, if you're going to be paying the bigger share, you're paying 2/3 and they're paying 1/3, I want to know that I've got a bit more of a say in who I want to get on. So there's another bit of thing. Might get one of this artist that you really, really like. You've been dying to speak to them, but you've got the label to hire them for a remix. Now you're chatting to them. You've built a network straight away just by that person being the remixer. And now when you make new music, you can send it to this person that was on your EP as your remixer, and you've got this network, and you can keep building and building upon it. And that person might play your other unreleased music at clubs and all sorts. So that's another good way of looking at the networking and how to, like I say, to strategize what you want from the label before you put pen to paper. So
put you on spot just before we go on the final bit. Would the email that you sent to Chris, if you're approaching from Chris about, I want you to come and remix my record, would you do exactly the same thing again? Would you start liking their tracks? Would you start sharing their mixes? Would you kind of take them through the process of what you did with the label, or is it a completely different way?
Yeah, it's more business. It really depends, because on the artist themselves, they might have the management. So you might see on the SoundCloud, remix request, contact Tom at management. So you might have to go that way. If they haven't got a management, then it's a case of that you're going to have to it'd be the label that would approach them, really, or you might do it as a group. But it's when money's involved, people listen.
So would you sign the contract first and go, yep, you've signed my 3 tracks, let's talk about a remix? Or would you let them go, okay, we might be able to get you this artist, and then wait? Or how would you do that now?
I don't sign anything until you've got what you really, really want. And you know that it's going to benefit your career, because a label can do absolutely the opposite of what you want. It can be a waste of time. And that's what this slide goes a little bit onto. Do you need a record label? Nah, you don't. You just need to, like you say, have a really good brand, a good Instagram, good social media, and then you can even self-release, or like you say, you can get your career without being on the coolest record label. You can make it, and like it's a good example for this one. I know me and Andrew's had a bit of chat about this one, but like I say, prime example of how the career can be in the hands of the crowd, not the label. And this one, obviously, for Lee Walker's "Freak Like Me" track, which I think Andrew's the main man behind that. So
good story on this one. So I was at Musicon closing, I think, not whatever year, 2014, 13. Corolla played this absolutely ridiculous vocal that was just so different to what he'd played for, like, this was at like 9-10 o'clock in the morning when Amnesia could still go to that point. And it was like, I was looking for Spotlight and I captured the video that went viral for Lee. I got it onto Spotlight and I posted it at 10 or 11. I went out into the smoking area and was like, right, this is going to be gold for social media. I'm going to put this out now. My boss had to correct it because I'd obviously had a few drinks. And then I went back online a couple of hours later and it just exploded. And all of a sudden this like track ID comments was everywhere. And that was the video that got Lee Walker's noticed. No one really knew who it was until everyone started commenting and saying, oh my God, Lee Walker, this is your track, this is your track, this is your track. And that was the video that Defected saw and then literally fought tooth and nail to try and get it licensed from DJ. Is it Dion or something like
DJ
that?
Dion, I think they give him a bit of a big payout actually to get him to sign over.
The payments that he'd get just to get a record because he knew it was going to lead him to 2 or 3 years of gigs. I don't know if that's true or not, but like, yeah, they had to give DJ Dion a lot of money. So that kind of answers your question in the words of, yes, you do need a record label because Defected fought tooth and nail to get that licensed. But then if he'd wanted to release it himself, because if it was his track that wasn't sampling another artist, he would have been able to just release that. But because he was sampling another artist, pretty much illegally, right?
Yeah, well, so it's a bootleg, it's an edit. That's why he couldn't have released it. He physically couldn't because it's copyrighted to that. The label has done. But this worked in good ways for both of them. So you've got DJ Dion, who's an old school 90s DJ. He's got a little bit of a career left in him, but he's had his time. Lee's just ignited his career at the same time because it was Lee Water versus DJ Dion, Freak Like Me. That was part of the contract. It was like a versus thing. Then it went on to Radio 1 and was it KTB or someone that did something with it? I can't remember.
Something like that, yeah. But just because it was Corolla that played it as well, it had this respect because Corolla is playing. It was a filthy bass line when it wasn't Corolla's.
Cool garage but wicked garage track. It was so like, it's so distinct and like he obviously Lee's a great producer. I've met like Lee a few times and he just really took that vocal and just like bossed it basically with that garage sort of production behind it. But so that just shows there that he didn't need to get it onto a label. Really, he just sent it to, I don't know whether he sent it to like the traditional music on the email or whatever, or whether it got passed from a couple of people to that Corolla. But it just shows you there that it's not necessarily the person, the people who are buying the music gives you a career. It's in the hands now, in the generation we are of iPhones and cool cameras and quality. I've got the iPhone 12 and the mic on this is unreal. Like this is going to be when clubs are back open again. This is going to be mint because you can like sit on the mic on this, you can change it to mono and just record from rather than stereo, and it's so clear. So when when all the kids have got these, when the clubs are open again, video quality is going to be so much better, and the crowd has got the career in your hands. And if you can get that viral track like Andrew did to Lee, straight up there. So you don't need a record label at all.
I'm interested to ask you now, off the back of that first email that you got, if that had been a track that they'd gone, right, I think this is perfect for your label, but Corolda's just played it in Music On, do you go, yep, I'll snap your hand off of that, but then you know that you've got a 6-month release schedule? Are you going to be brutally honest with the artist and go, yep, I'd snap my hand off of this, but I've got a 6-month schedule, and because Corola's already played it, I'm not going to wait you as an artist 6 months? Are you just going to be completely honest with the artist and go, you need to put this out yourself, or like pretend it's not got an illegal sample and edit? Are you going to be honest as a label owner and go, this is what you need to do, or are you going to try and keep that?
Yeah, good question. So I want to make sure that Corollas definitely play this. I'm going to go scouting about for a video first now, and just to make sure it's a genuine call out. And then probably what I would do is I'll probably try and push to get that out straight away, just before other labels, bigger labels, are going to attack it, like Defected, and something that would just obviously could mean then I could be designing artwork and thinking about a PR campaign and all sorts, of approaching my media groups and things like that, and then, or even like strategizing the interviews and all sorts of stuff like that, the write-ups, people like the RA write-ups, things like that. Then that person could just go, nah, it's the label's had it now, I'm just sack it off. So it's just like, it's either you chance it and get it done immediately there and then and get a contract signed, or you just accept the fact that some monopoly label is going to eat it off you. So
because I think that Lee Walker track, they did Defected might have even partnered up with a major to make sure that there was proper funding so that DJ Dion did get the payout he was going to get.
Yeah.
So they could have just teamed up with a Universal, but like what they did with that Calvin Harris track, Defected teamed up with a major, but Calvin wanted Defected to do the marketing, and because they put a lot of effort into their music, and obviously getting onto a playlist and stuff like that would mean that they get it done properly. So yeah, I think yes and no, you do need a label, and sometimes you don't.
No, like I say, send your music. I was going to say, I'll show you this quickly as well.
Stephen and Matt, well, we've got a couple of minutes left. Have you got any questions that you'd like to ask Chris? Stephen, if you do have a comment, just put it me in the chat and I'll read it out for you, mate.
Yeah, I've got one.
Go on then, Matt. It's all yours.
I was watching an interview from DVS1 a while ago, and he was talking about you should be more seen and less industry. And we're obviously here talking about the nuts and bolts of how you can navigate the industry side of things. How would you? What do you think strikes a good balance between the sort of scene side of things and getting the industry side of things right?
It's a funny one, that one, because DVS1 comes from a bit of an era before social media. DVS1's background was he used to rent club sound systems. That's what he used to do in Minneapolis. He would just put them up, and he's obviously he was in that era before like the whole like Facebook and Instagram and everything like that. But yeah, there's a balance. You need to be like, don't want to be overly cringy, you know what I mean? And but then you still need to have some sort of presence there. Really, there has to be a balance. But I would say a little bit longer before, like if it weren't, say, a few years ago, I would say that you could probably not get away with like too much of like the social media. But honestly, I would say now you need to. It's dog eat dog out there at the minute, and some people are getting their name faster forward than a lot of other like producers, and the music's nowhere near as high quality as the little geek in his bedroom who was making absolute weapons but can't get anyone to see it.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Or it's just what it is?
it's frustration. It's frustrating because you know that wizard sitting there, like, and why is no one listening to my things, and I can't get anyone to like involved with me.
That's where you have to change it up as an artist. You have to do something that's going to get the attention. That word is going to come up so much in this social sound journey. Like, it's right, that this hasn't worked. I know I'm good enough. How do I get their attention another way? And you just have to be really adaptable.
The other one for DVS1, as you got on to talking about him, DVS1 really made me look at music in a different way. And that was, he did an interview, you probably catch it on YouTube, and it was a really inspirational interview he did with a class, like a music production class. And he was talking about how he shops for music. And that little bit I talked about before about how DJing's gotten a lot easier now. And he's massive on like the 4 decks thing. And he always goes by, you'll never ever be able to recognize a track that I play because he's got blend and 4 going around each other. He says, the other thing he says as well is that you'll never be able to Shazam anything in my set because he's never going to recognize, because he's blending 4 decks together. And the way he talked about production of music now is giving me a bit of relief, because people don't want an anthem anymore. They don't want this bit of music where you've got an introduction, then you've got this epic breakdown with like whooshiness and snare rolls going on for minutes. And I don't want that anymore. The reason is you're doing the DJ's job. The DJ's got nothing to do. He's got nothing to do. You've done all the effects for that DJ and that production. So DVS1, the way he talks about, which resonates with me a lot, is he just wants a solid groove, very minimal sort of changes in it, because he looks at music in a way that he wants to be able to blend it between 4 tracks at the same time. If you're going to give an anthem to him, it's going to spoil his 4-track blend. And DJ, like I say, it's got a bit easier. So, you know what I mean? You want to put the effects on and things like that because you've got waiting around for 4 minutes for your next track to come on or whatever. So that's another thing that, like I say, DVS1 really made us think about music more and making it very DJ friendly, but very understanding that, like you said, DJs have got 4 decks and 3 decks and all sorts going now. So it's a good one, that one.
Chris, if you could just unshare your screen so I can have the 4 faces on now. So it's a little more personal. The final question that Stephen's asked is, how common is it for an artist to contribute financially towards a release? He's never done it, so he'd be a bit suspicious.
How common is it?
Yeah,
it's common. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I've chipped in on, like I say, projects to myself. Like in my first release with, I did it with twice actually. I did my Made Fresh Daily release. I did it with me Kaluki release. What I chipped in on was the fact I knew Waf, and I'm Waf's mate, so I got him to do my remix. So they didn't have to pay for it. So what I got to do with my Kaluki one is I got Waf involved, and I got them to do to pay for another remix. So I did a bit of a deal saying, I'll give you Waf for free, but you get another remix on. At the time, I had like H2 on, so I ended up with 2 remixes. So I got a bit of both. So a bit of like, sort of like negotiated a little bit there. So, but yeah, it is quite common for an artist to involve their own money. Yeah, and as a label owner, I'm quite happy if anyone chucking some money in. You know what I mean?
Stephen, any follow up to that? Obviously, you're on chat, so I'll give you a second. What's really interesting is where you said that DJs don't want anthems anymore. It's like Patrick with Forget. He did the DJ's job for him, isn't it? And that's a really good example of it. That it broke through the artist, got him into the world. It's made him got 6 million streams on YouTube. I'm just looking at 4.7 million streams on YouTube. It's got him 100 gigs a year. But now, if he was to come out with that now, it might not get played as much by the big DJs.
Yeah, you're totally right. Music's changed, and another thing as well is that goes on that is if you're a producer, the top goal is to get a vinyl release. That's your FA Cup basically. Mm-hmm. If you can get to a label to get a vinyl release, because you know that it's so hard for a label owner to put, because I just spend $1.50 for a release on it and hope for the best that I get something back. And so it's really hard. I know, like as a label owner, it's you really, if they've signed something, they really trust you, they really like your music. So get that final release, that's obviously, I would say, a big one, I think, to get that top shelf.
Yeah, makes sense. Right, I'm gonna let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, Chris. Thank you very much for your time and your presentation. It's the first one I've ever done where I've successfully done it. So yeah, thank you for that. Tomorrow, Matt and Stephen, we're doing something with an artist called Vic Torres, and he's played in plays like Indian black coffee music. And he has gone and done 2 live streams, which caught my attention on YouTube. He's got like 700 YouTube subscribers, but he's got 10,000 streams on one of his live streams, and his marketing's top notch for it. And he's going to literally talk to you both about one, Chris, if he wants to come along.
Yeah, no, 100%, because I'm all about because I'm in the middle of building the YouTube platform up.
Yeah.
And so, I'm starting from the bottom, so I'm going to probably pick up some stuff from that.
Yeah, so he's going to talk to about like all the stuff that you don't even think about when you go and do a live stream, like electricity, generators, lighting, time of day, and all the stuff. He did it at sunset in London, and he went location hunting during COVID. Everyone told him no, basically you can't come and do that in our building because of social distancing. So he ended up just doing it completely off the cuff in a mate's building that he had rooftop access to. It's got him 10,000 streams. It caught my attention, so he's going to come in tomorrow and talk about how he did that. And off the back of that, he's also done a forest stream where he pre-recorded the stream, so you don't have to. He's going to talk about how you don't have to go live to do a live stream, but you do have to go and test and all sorts of stuff. And I think it's going to be fascinating for artists like yourself and for me, of marketers, like, right, once you've got that pre-recorded stream, how can you then edit it and how can you make it so it's brilliant, so when it does go out, you're not going to lose live stream connection or anything like that. And a lot of artists now who are doing live streams, like I'm working with Archie Hamilton at the moment, and he's been sending me all sorts of WhatsApps being like, right, what do I do with this live stream? I want to make sure it's perfect. It's going on Beatport, and he's just in the studio, so how can he make that stream? And I think he pre-recorded it twice now, I think, just because he wasn't happy with the first one. But it's just showing you, if Archie was to do that for Beatport in a real world, he'd turn up, put his memory stick in, play, go home. Whereas Vic is an artist that isn't got any of this fancy stuff. That he's an artist, he's got to do everything himself, and he's going to come and talk to you about all the stuff that you need to physically do with a live stream. And I think it's going to be really interesting because I've seen his slides, and the content that he's created is a star. And he's obviously an artist that's not got a touring career. He's played in actually 15 different countries, so he's actually bigger than I originally thought he was. But I just think it's fascinating, and hopefully you're both going to take a lot of that. And if you can't watch it live, it'll be recorded, so you'll be able to watch it in the hub afterwards.
I really want to get into live streaming. It's definitely something I want to capitalize on. So hopefully I'll be able to tune in.
So Stephen's already checked him out, which is exactly gold star for you, Stephen. So yeah, but all 4 of you, I'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock.
All right, mate. Cheers.
Thanks,
Chris.
Pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thanks
guys.
for having us on.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Bye.